Alright, so it starts. Project Burn Victim. This is a 01 V6 5-speed car that's caught fire due to a failed fuel line. And as you can see, things got a little crispy. Picked this thing up for free from a buddy of mine that I worked on his car. He wasn't doing anything with it, so sent it home with me. So this will be alongside Project Moldy Locks. She is currently torn apart, awaiting the new LS Power Glide setup. So for this car, we're going to do the old 302 and turbo along with the stock V6 T5. And we're going to live dangerously and run that setup along with the factory 7.5 rear end. So we'll see how long it lasts for, and if we break it, we'll just replace and upgrade as we go. It came without a bumper or headlights or any of that, so we got a Cobra bumper from Certifit. That way we could fit the intercooler in the front and have plenty of airflow. But should be a fun little project. We'll start getting this drivetrain out, and hopefully by the end of the week we'll have the 302 in with the stock K-member out of the Fox, and we'll have some adventures getting that to fit along with all the new edge parts. So we'll update and post some more as we go. Little update here. Just got the old 3.8 out, and got the K-member swapped out. Got a Fox body K-member in it now. Had to do a little bit of modification to the rear mounting bolt holes. Had to slot them out just a little bit, just to make it work in the SN95 / New Edge chassis. Other than that, pretty direct swap. Everything else bolts up, lines up. Just got to get the control arms, spindles, struts, everything pulled off of this K-member, get them swapped into the car. Excuse the absolute disaster in here. There's the old burnt down 3.8, and the V6 T5 we're going to be using. Got the 164 tooth flywheel to make that work on the 302. It's out of a 1990 F-150 with a 5.0 and a 5-speed. There's the good old 302 that's going in. It's the old one out of Moldy Locks here. Only all the good parts have been taken off, so it's going back with all stock parts. Stock cam, stock E7 heads, stock intake. Only thing fancy on it's going to be the 66 mil turbonetics. It's a 6665. It's got a 96 AR T4 housing. Should work out fairly well on here. And got a good old eBay hot side. It's 120 bucks or so off of eBay. And we'll see how it works. It's probably absolute fucking crap, but hey, if it breaks, we'll weld it back together. So other than that, that's about all that I've got for now. Looking to get the engine trans in this weekend. Fuel system, headers, everything won't be here till next week, so unfortunately that's going to have to wait. But do another update video once I get the engine trans together, get it set up, ready to go in the car, and gonna customize the stock fuel hat for a -6-8 and convert it from a returnless to a return. So make a video of all that. So that's your update for the week. The absolute disaster. Once this thing gets out of the garage, we'll get back to Moldy Locks and get the good old 4.8 4-point grate put in there, and got the Power Glide hiding back there behind the Bud Light box. And maybe we'll get both of them together. Hopefully running sometime before race season. So that's it for today. You guys have a good night. I ran into a little snag, and the forward control arm bushings were seized onto the bolts. Bolts wouldn't come out, so I had to end up cutting them out. So they're just about toasted. So I'm gonna end up replacing both front and rear control arm bushings on both control arms, and I guess we'll probably do the ball joints while we're at it. But may as well do it while it's all out. So just another fun little snag. But we'll get some bushings, pop them in, and go from there. Alright, I was up pretty late last night getting everything worked on. I was rebuilding the core support for the car. It was all kinds of mangled up. So had some 1.5 inch tube laying around, and ended up making a new core support out of that. Got everything mounted up, radiator mounts, intercooler mounts, got the brake line supports on there. Got the intercooler all mounted up in there. Fits really nice behind the bumper. And ended up actually being able to mount the tabs for the stock bumper mounts on there. So I've got support on the bottom of the bumper too. So next project for today, we're going to get the engine and trans mated up. Start putting the engine back together and hopefully drop the whole assembly in today. Buddy Bruce hooked me up with a new set of control arms. The old ones had to be cut out, so instead of replacing the bushings, he had a stock set laying around, so we'll just go ahead and throw them on. Just have to get a couple more bolts for the other side since I ended up having to cut two, but got that one mounted up. And ended up just cut the springs a little bit to get it a little bit lower and remove it from four-wheel drive status. It may eventually get a set of springs, probably not, but we'll see where it sits after that, and we'll end up having to probably cut a coil off the rears just to drop it down. But for now, we're going to get this all put together. Like I said, I'm using the V6 trans with 302, which the 3.8 V6 transmissions are rated for the same as the 94-95 T5s. They just have their own bell housing, which is still a small block Ford pattern, but you've got to run 164 tooth flywheel instead of the 157 that the regular 302s have. That way the starter actually engages because the mounting's a little bit farther out. So this is a flywheel off of a 1990 F-150 with a 5.0 and a 5-speed. So it's still 50 ounce imbalance, but it's 164 tooth and set up for an 11-inch clutch. So that should work perfectly on there, and starter should be happy. So I just got a couple other things I got to do before we mount the engine and trans together. I got a couple of freeze plugs that were pushed out and had some quick plugs put back in them, so we're going to put regular freeze plugs back in to prevent any leakage from that. But other than that, we'll get it in the car and start putting it together. Oh, also, I got my bulkhead fittings in yesterday. The -6 and a -8. I'm gonna pull the stock fuel hat out, drill the top of the hat, and then put these two in to run my AN line, and then we're running a 340 pump in the tank. But also got my quick connect to -6 and -8 lines. Found the Russell ones online, and they were like $20 a fitting, and ended up doing a quick search on eBay and found a seller that's American Muscle Performance, and they sell the pair for 20 bucks, and they're actually made by UPR, which they're not on UPR's website, but It came directly from UPR, drop shipped, and it's got its own part number. So I guess it's just a specialty run for this one company. So if you need some, I'll put a link down in the description where you can get them for 20 bucks as opposed to paying 40 for the exact same thing. Alright, we got it in. Fits like factory. All the mounts lined up, transmission mount, engine mounts obviously because it's box K member, but looks like the bell housing ended up in the same spot, so the transmission mount was just perfect. So it lined right up, bolted right in. So now I just gotta hook up all the accessory stuff, get the steering shaft hooked back up, get the all the power steering lines on, and then manage to get the suspension put back together. But looks like it should work pretty well. There's so much more room in the engine bay. You figure a 4.6 fits in here, and this engine is a hell of a lot smaller, so I got all kinds of room. So hopefully we can manage to route exhaust and everything out of the way, and because I'm planning on putting it out the back. It originally was going to go fender exit, but it looks like right down there we should have enough to manage to snake a 3-inch downpipe. So we'll see once the turbo kit shows up and heads are on and everything else. And it may still go fender exit. Alright, we're back. Got a couple more things done on the car. Got the suspension back up under it. I stole the 13-inch Cobra brakes off of Multi Locks for this one. So this car already had a blown out right front and the discs were shot. So I figure I already had the parts off of this one. This one ain't going anywhere for a while, so I just stole the parts off of it. So that's all done, back together. I kind of got some parts just sitting on the engine just for mock-up purposes. Waiting on a couple of parts to show up. We're waiting on lifters, that way I can put the heads on. And instead of going with the factory lifters, we're doing link bars just to make things easier. That way I don't have to have the whole spider assembly on there. So once those are in, then the heads can go on and get the intake sorted, get that all lined out. Hot side piping will be here tomorrow, so we'll get the hot side mocked up and then get our dash 10 bulkhead put in the oil pan for our oil drain. Had my oil drain hose show up today. I already had a bunch of dash 10 fittings laying around, so that'll make that a lot easier. And I've got multiple drain blocks to choose from. And then we'll get all this put together and start working on the fuel system. Fuel hose and everything will be here this week as well. We're going to run dash 8 feed, dash 6 return. And I've got a old Mallory rail mount regulator that's adjustable, so we'll see if it still works, and if so, we'll run that. But slowly coming along. It'll be down on its suspension tonight, so I'll get you some more pictures whenever it's back down on its own wheels.